A really strong benefit of this 3-week period of Mercury going retrograde in Pisces is going to be that this is a very encouraging time to really get out of your head and get back into your heart. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Astrologal and I am back with another video. Today's video is going to be Mercury retrograde in Pisces. And we're already in the first few days of this transit, so some of you are probably starting to already feel this energy brewing. So this is the first retrograde of 2020. The last retrograde we had was back in November in the sign of Scorpio. For a lot of you guys, this was a very intense retrograde. It brought us really deep within our subconscious. It brought us really deep into subconscious fears. So it gave us a great opportunity to learn about things that we still could heal from. So the last retrograde we had was also in a water sign as well as this one. So how we can kind of look at these retrogrades is as a time to cleanse, as a time to release, as a time to wash away things that may not benefit us in the highest good, things that are not unconditionally positive for us. Now is a time to come back to realization. Now is a great time to go within and to kind of cleanse from all these things that no longer resonate with us. So this retrograde begins on the 17th of February and it will go all the way through the 10th of March. It will kind of dip into Aquarius for a few days before going back direct, and we'll talk about that toward the end of this video. So for me personally, what I've noticed so far with this retrograde is that I am very exhausted. I feel like I need to rest, relax, which works out well because retrograde periods are a great time to reset, to relax, to realign, to rejuvenate. So I've been taking a lot of time for myself to reflect. I've been taking a lot of time for self-care. If you're not familiar with what Mercury retrograde is, I do have a video on that, so I will leave the link down below if you want to pause this, go check that out, then come back. Because what this video is going to be more about is kind of like the flavor or the essence of this retrograde. I do want to talk about things I've noticed personally this past retrograde because things started coming up very strongly for me, and I would ask my friends or I would ask other astrologers, I'd be like, have you noticed XYZ? And they're like, yeah, or they'll be like, no, but I'm gonna, make sure I take a look at that next time. So for me personally, this past retrograde in Scorpio, what came up for me was, I feel like I'm not very clumsy, but I started to notice things were slipping out of my hand and I was getting so frustrated. And I was like, you know what, Mercury rules the hand and we're in a Mercury retrograde. Like my coordination was a little bit off. So I noticed that. I also noticed that my sleep schedule was a little bit off. I have a really hard time going to bed at a decent time when we're in retrograde. It's just always been that way for me. 3 crystals that really help me a lot during Mercury retrograde are howlite, blue lace agate, and angelite. And some other ones that I've heard work really well also are apatite and fluorite. So if you have a hard time sleeping during Mercury retrograde, or in general, you should try those crystals. Let's see what else I noticed here. The last retrograde, yeah, I always become more hermit-like. I kind of just want to be in my own little space. I kind of tune out the outside world for a little bit to come back within and to truly focus on what it is that I need. Also, another thing I want to point out before we get started here, I know I'm giving you guys a lot of random information that has nothing to do with Mercury retrograde in Pisces specifically. I'll leave a time link below so you can go right to that if you want to skip all this. But one thing I want to point out is if you have Mercury retrograded in your natal chart, this 3-week time period is going to be a lot more fluid for you. I know a lot of people that have Mercury retrograded in their birth chart, and every time a retrograde comes around, they're like, I just don't understand this retrograde thing. Like, it doesn't affect me like everybody else does. Everybody's freaking out and all chaotic, and I kind of feel really good during this time period. And it's just that when you naturally have Mercury retrograded in your chart, this energy is going to be working in favor with you because it's natural in your charts. And so I feel like when people have Mercury retrograded in their birth chart, during a Mercury retrograde, they tend to get better rest, they tend to have more effective communication, they feel like they have more energy. Alright, so Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Mercury in Pisces without the retrograde is kind of already like a retrograde area because it's in detriment in Pisces. So there's going to be this energy of fatigue, there's going to be this energy of like brain fog, the communication is going to be less effective. Not only is this Mercury retrograde in detriment in this placement, it's also in its fall here. So we can either look at this as something that is going to be very intense and very challenging, but we can also at the same time look at this as a very positive opportunity to learn, to grow, to go deeper within, and to work on things that maybe we were kind of letting fall to the back. So a lot of things are going to be highlighted and pushed forward. They're going to be a lot more clear for us to see where we may need to, work on ourselves. So adding the retrograde to the Mercury placement in Pisces is just going to add more of a challenge or more of an intensity. But wherever we feel like we're being more challenged, there's always equal opportunity to grow. So for me personally, the pre-shadow in first few days of Mercury retrograde can be a little bit of an adjustment. But I feel like this energy is so powerful, I feel like this energy brings up so much opportunity for growth that I've started to really enjoy Mercury retrograde, as crazy as that may sound, because I started to find myself being like, oh no, another Mercury retrograde, and I'd be like, wait, why am I being so hard on Mercury retrograde? Like, if I'm being hard on Mercury retrograde, that means I'm being hard on myself. So I was like, you know what, we're going to start looking at this more optimistically, because ultimately, wherever there's challenge, there's equal opportunity to grow. Alright, so now to the good stuff. Let's talk about the energy, the flavor, the essence of this retrograde in Pisces. This is going to be a 3-week period of being encouraged to step out of the physical body into the spiritual body, into the oneness. Because Pisces is a deeply spiritual sign, it's a very unconditional loving sign. It's very compassionate, very open-minded, very fluid, very loving. And Pisces doesn't care about the physical body. Pisces kind of loves to live in their imagination. Pisces love to live in a very energetically, spiritually charged environment. Mercury in Pisces doesn't want guidelines, it doesn't want structure, it doesn't want rules, it doesn't really favor the physical body here, but rather it wants to know the heart, and it wants to tap into the free-flowing energy of the universe. So really quick, let's talk about Mercury in general and its higher functioning qualities. Mercury is a planet of communication. Mercury is a planet of the mind, and it likes to make sense of things. It likes to gather information, it likes to organize it, and it likes to communicate very effectively and efficiently. A lot of the time, Mercury operates from a left brain sort of thinking. It's very structured, it's very organized, it's very type A. And Pisces, on the other hand, or Neptunian energy, is quite the opposite. It enjoys being free-flowing, it enjoys kind of doing things at its own pace, it enjoys kind of taking its time to get from point A to point B. So Mercury in Pisces is not the most beneficial place for this planet to transit, as things may feel a little confusing. Mercury in Pisces likes to telepathize. A lot of people that have Mercury in Pisces in their natal chart have a gift of telepathy. They're able to communicate, or they're able to understand what's going on in somebody else's mind without them saying much. It's harder for them to communicate effectively because things are moving so fluidly and things are always changing in their mind that it's hard to really grasp what's going on because things are kind of just free-flowing. What they're communicating is based on how they're feeling, and the feeling of Pisces is forever changing. It's very moody, so it's really hard to grasp an idea because it's a very imaginative placement. But the positive to this sign is that they're extremely intuitive, they have really strong prophetic dreams, and they have a gift of telepathy. With Mercury going retrograde in Pisces, there may be a lot of miscommunication. Things may feel a little bit confusing. Because Pisces is the eldest sign and it's known to be a very karmic sign, it's past life karma, You could be reminiscing on things from the past that come back up or that surface for you in this 3-week period. Things that you were karmically tied to or things that you've karmically healed from. I think that retrograde periods are a great time to stop and to reflect and to reevaluate where you are within since the previous retrogrades. I think that each retrograde is a nice mark to kind of check in every 3 months. Some people kind of get all panicked and chaotic, like, oh no, another Mercury retrograde, I have to stay in my house for 3 weeks and I can't drive a car, I can't sign any contracts, I can't communicate with others. And it's like, you can do all of these things as long as you're being very mindful of the energy. You don't need to necessarily live your life by astrology. I think it's just a really good guideline to help you kind of understand why you may be feeling the way you are feeling. A really strong benefit of this 3-week period of Mercury going retrograde in Pisces is going to be that this is a very encouraging time to really get out of your head and get back into your heart. Mercury tries to make sense of everything. Mercury tries to have everything in order, so a lot of the times we tend to overthink everything. But Mercury being in Pisces, this is really asking us to slow down. This is really asking us if what we're creating in our life right now and what foundations we're setting, if it aligns with our heart. Does this align with what you truly want in life? Does this align with your dreams, with your goals, with your desires? And when you think about what you're doing in your life right now, don't think about, does this look good on paper? Do my friends and family approve of what I'm doing? Does this bring me a lot of money and success and fame? Am I driving the coolest car? Do I have the nicest clothes on? This is going to ask us, how does this make you feel? This is going to ask us, does this make you expand? Does it make your aura expand? Or does it make your aura contract? And I think that a lot of times it's easy to forget about what our heart wants because we live in a society right now where everything is so fast paced. You gotta keep up, or you're gonna get behind. You gotta do this and that and this and that, and you gotta write everything down on your to-do list and have everything in order, or you're gonna get behind and everybody's gonna forget about you. Society is being so overruled by masculine energy right now that we often are forgetting to take time for ourselves. We're forgetting to come back to our heart space. We're forgetting to emotionally check in, to allow our emotions to come through, to allow our emotions to surface. And, these retrograde periods are a great time for us to really pause and be like, whoa, okay, what's going on? Is what I'm doing in life right now what I truly want? And with this retrograde being in Pisces, I think Pisces is one of the most unconditionally loving signs, and I think Pisces really kind of pulls you to tap back into your heart, into your third eye. With this energy of Mercury being retrograded in Pisces, it's like, does everything you're doing in the physical world line up with everything in your emotional world? Is your emotional body and your physical body aligning? Also, because we just experienced all this Capricornian energy, going through December into January, we had a lot of planets transiting Capricorn, as well as a Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which I really wanted to do a video for, but I was in the middle of moving across the country and I didn't get to it. But that was a very, very intense time with the 2 eclipses as well. But with all this Capricornian energy, it was like demanding structure. It was demanding, logic. It was demanding goals and all things that kind of come from left side brain thinking, which, is not necessarily bad because a lot of us needed that push forward to go in a direction of, revamping our foundation or kind of building a new foundation. I kind of feel like the Saturn-Pluto conjunction was a lot like Jenga, in a sense where you kind of feel like you're being poked and prodded from all different sides, and whichever side doesn't align with your soul, that block was going to come right out, and if too many came out, your foundation was just going to fall to the ground. That's what the Saturn-Pluto conjunction did for a lot of us. And a lot of us were going through a very chaotic time. We were being very triggered. And I kind of think that this Mercury retrograde in Pisces came at a really great time because it really asked us to slow down. It really asked us to check back in with ourselves. So now that we're rebuilding this foundation, I think it's a great time for this Mercury retrograde period to come along, especially in Pisces. Heart chakra is what we're trying to build. Is this new foundation we're building for ourselves? Is this new chapter in life we're taking? Is this aligning with your heart? How do you feel? And for some of us, this may feel uncomfortable, right? Because a lot of emotions surface. Not everybody's comfortable with feeling into their deepest emotions, and past life emotions can be, very, very intense. But this can be some of the most healing energy if you use it to your benefit. And I think that it's just a reminder to make sure that what we're building in life right now, and the new blocks that we're creating as our foundation, our new Jenga, is being set up in a way that aligns with our heart and is asking us if we're doing the things we're doing for the right reason. So a benefit to this Mercury retrograde is that this will be a very powerful time to just disconnect from the mind. Give your mind a rest. Our minds are always in overdrive. Allow your heart to speak. Allow your heart's wisdom to penetrate through. This is going to be about coming out of the body and back into the soul, back into the heart, back into the spirit. You may have very prophetic dreams during this time period. So something else that's going to be very beneficial about this Mercury retrograde is that this is going to be a very strong time period for breakthroughs. This is going to be a very strong time period of channeling. Whatever channeling is to you, it's really just observing and allowing messages of your higher self to really rise and come through. I've already started noticing, I'll be driving in the car and I'll all of a sudden have kind of like an epiphany moment, or I'll have a moment of just really strong clarity kind of come through, and I'm like, wow. Really quickly before I end this video, I do want to talk about other transits that are taking place during this retrograde. A few that I found very important or very influential are, since Uranus is the planet of technology and we are making a sextile to it, since Mercury is making a sextile to it, I'm very curious to see if we have less glitches in technology this retrograde. I didn't actually get the date of when that will happen, but I'll find it, and when I'm editing I'll leave that date on here. But I'm curious to see about that. And also another transit that I think is going to be very powerful and effective and working in our favor is Mars going into Capricorn. It's going to be going into Capricorn February 16th, so by the time you guys are watching this video it'll be a few days in. And as Mars travels through the sign of Capricorn, this is going to be a very positive influence for us. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, which means that its energy is very positive here. Its energy is very effective here. The energy behind this transit is going to give us a sense of purpose. It's going to give us a sense of drive, ambition, confidence, focus, integrity, and I think that this is going to give us that extra boost of energy to go within to find the answers that we're seeking. As Mars travels through Capricorn, we're eventually going to have it sextiled to this Mercury retrograde, and this is just going to be a very positive influence in the sense that it's going to give us this extra sense of drive, of focus, of ambition. It's going to really help us tune back into ourselves. It's really going to help us find the answers we're looking for, and it's going to really help us hone in on our higher selves. There may be a lot of frustration, there may be confusion overall in what it is you want to get across. It may feel as if you're speaking underwater, but this is kind of just like a little love message from the universe asking us to slow down. I think that this is going to be a really great retrograde period for tuning into your creativity. Whatever it is you do to express your creativity, I think that this is going to be a great 3-week period to express yourself in the best way. Because as we know, Mercury in Pisces with retrograde doesn't always express itself most efficiently by speaking. That's not to say we have to stop talking for 3 weeks, but it's more about coming back within. So I think a really great way to express yourself in this 3-week period of this retrograde is through art, through creativity. Whatever creative expression it is that you find most enjoyable or that you find most uplifting, I think these 3 weeks will be a great way to express how you may be feeling. And you might not even realize that, unconsciously you're probably going to express how you're feeling through this art you're creating. So if it's not making sense in your mind, take a look at your art. What kind of art are you creating right now? What kind of colors are you using? You know, like what are you choosing to create? And I think that sometimes it could be helpful to see what kind of art you're creating to kind of make sense of what's going on up here. That is all I have for you guys for this Mercury retrograde video. I hope you guys all take a lot of time for yourself, for self-love, for self-reflecting. Do a lot of journaling, like I said, a lot of art. For me personally, it's not the best 3 weeks for me to go out and be sociable and chatty and high energy. I feel like I'm going to be reflecting a lot, journaling, doing art, probably going to be taking a lot of naps, a lot of baths, and doing all things involving self-love. Because I also do want to give myself enough time to allow these higher messages to channel through me. I already feel them starting to come in, but because I'm kind of receiving those subtle messages, I'm going to kind of probably lay low for a few weeks and just allow time for me to receive what it is I need to receive in this time period. Alright, that is all I have for you guys for this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful retrograde. Now that I'm finally getting settled into my new home, I'm looking forward to having more videos up more consistently. I'm now making this my full-time job, so I look forward to being back with you guys more often. If you have any video ideas or anything specifically you want to see, feel free to comment below. If this video helped you or resonated with you in any way, please feel free to let me know below. Like, comment, subscribe. That helps me out tremendously, and I love to connect with you guys and see what you guys are feeling. If we can relate to things that are going on during this Mercury retrograde, we can have a little convo below. As always, if you want to book a personal reading with me, all my information is below. Alright guys, that is all. Until the next video, take care. I love you. Mwah.